And welcome back to America Can We Talk. I love saying the new name of our show. It was Ladies Can We Talk for a couple years, but now it's America Can We Talk. And welcome back to our celebration of Independence Day, Celebration of Liberty show on Sunday, July 3rd. We have joining us this segment someone I've mentioned before. She's actually been on our show before. And I'm so glad she could join us today, Star Parker. Hello.
Hello. Good being with you.
Oh, it's great to have you, Star. You know, we were talking on the break. I was trying to give a summary of your life to this gentleman who's here helping with the show today, and you're just an amazing American. I appreciate your work so very much. I've been starting this show with a quote from a founder or some other prominent American about the idea of the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to read a really quick short one from Abraham Lincoln. Let us readopt the Declaration of Independence, and with it, the practices and policy which harmonize with it. Let North and South, let all Americans, let all lovers of liberty everywhere join in the great and good work. If we do this, we shall not only have saved the Union, but we shall have so saved it as to make and to keep it forever worthy of the saving. Abraham Lincoln, God love him. Okay, so we're with Star Parker. She is the founder of an organization in Washington called the Center for Urban Renewal and Education. I love what you do. Why don't you take a moment, if you would, Star, and just tell our listeners what CURE is all about.
Well, we are on this journey to dismantle the welfare state in a nutshell. We believe charity belongs to the church and to local community. So we want the government out of that business. When you think about the $22 trillion that we put in this war on poverty, we've left entire people's lives destroyed as results and damage in human capital. So we promote market-based solutions to fight poverty at CURE.
I just love that. And I know one thing you do, Star, as the president and founder of CURE, you go around and talk to different pastors. You have pastors' breakfasts in low-income communities. And what do you talk to them about?
Well, what we do is try to get them to understand liberty, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. It's underappreciated how broken the school systems are in our at-risk communities. So what we find is also our pastors who haven't been educated in those systems don't understand fundamental principles, founding principles of our country. And so we talk to them about the sanctity of property and how it is just as sacred as the sanctity of life. On issues of life and marriage and the biblical truths that they know very, very well, they get it immediately. But when it comes to liberty and freedom and private property, there's more explanation needed, in particular when it comes to the economy and their concerns for the poor in their communities. The question becomes, who's to fix what's broken down? Do the individual people in the private sector, or is this the work of the public and government? We've seen what government does. The damage of the welfare state is bookshelves are sagging with the data. So we try to share that data with these pastors so that they get a deeper understanding of transitioning their populations off of the welfare state.
I think that is just astonishing. I mean, our listeners don't know you. I'm very blessed to have met Star Parker several times and had her speak at different things. And you just have the most gracious, lovely, but astonishingly confident delivery in everything you say. I mean, just because, I think it's just coming from your heart, because what you're saying is not a learned set of bullet points that you're trying to share, but you're speaking from your heart about the ideas of America, which I think are just, I mean, I can hardly tell you how exciting I think it is. So I want to, if you could quick tell our listeners, I know it's your first book and an older one, but can you tell our listeners about your book, Uncle Sam's Plantation? Because that really kind of captures a lot about the liberty we're talking about today.
I will, but let me back up a moment and tell you about the passion and why it is in my heart. It's because I experienced the lie of the left. I believed that the poor were poor because the wealthy are wealthy. I believed that my problems were somebody else's fault. I believed that America was so inherently racist I didn't need to mainstream. So I understand what not only some of these pastors are wrestling with, but what their congregations are wrestling with. I believe those laws and got caught in all types of reckless behaviors, as we're seeing in many of our hard-hit communities. Things from criminal activity to drug activity to sexual activity. I was in and out of these so-called safe, legal, rare abortion clinics until finally having a gut instinct way down deep inside that maybe killing your offspring isn't right. And I still had a child outside of marriage and watched my life spiral into government dependency. It wasn't until after a Christian conversion that I changed my life. And so that's why I also put a lot of emphasis on these pastors, because it was a pastor who not only helped me change my life, but one day looked out at the congregation and said, what are you doing living on welfare? The government is not your source. So I understand the power of what happens when black folks, pastor folks, and other folks get way down deep inside of what went wrong and what the solutions are to fix it. So I wanted to get to that. Uncle Sam's Plantation is an explanation of what is inside of welfare life. For those that keep sending their money to Washington, D.C. to fix these problems for us, they need to understand that this is the wrong direction for our country. When you think about the investments every year, it's a quarter of our budget, $900 billion a year in these anti-poverty programs, and look where we are. The poverty rate is the same as it was in 1965, but family life has collapsed as a result of the welfare state. People don't appreciate that in 1970, only 7% of children in our country were born to a mother who wasn't married. That number last year was 48% of children are born in this country to a mother who hasn't married. This is a crisis. It's an economic crisis, and it's a moral crisis.
Wow, you know what? You hit on so many things. I'm struggling thinking which way do I want to go with all this. But I love that you took you could have had your life experience that you just described and found your way through finding Christ and move forward. But you had more kind of love of your fellow man in you, that you couldn't just straighten your life out and go do something, but you're spreading what you learned. And I think it's a vital message, especially in this time in America, where I feel like our country is more racially divided than it has been in a long time. I think there has been a lot of messaging from Washington about racial division, and you're really speaking you're speaking your message in many communities, but you're speaking it as it's a same truth applies to everybody. It's a very unifying message you have as compared to what I see coming out of Washington, a very racially divided message.
Right. It is a racially divided message because politically we've fallen apart. And where you see race as a political issue, the people take out their side. But in relationships, we see a lot of health and growth, in particular in the church. I mean, people have a variety of friends, and with our youth, they've grown up with a variety of friends. So I'm not as concerned about racial dynamics as the media is in the mainstream, and why they keep pushing this narrative that blacks should be suspicious of whites and whites should be frustrated with blacks. We have to start building more personal relationships so that we can get to the bottom line of what's wrong with the political sphere, and that is that the government keeps trying to take from one to give to the other, and redistribution of wealth is wrong, it's unscriptural, and it doesn't work for the very people that we say that we're trying to help.
I love that you said it's unscriptural, and I assume what you're referring to is that redistribution of wealth is premised on coveting your neighbor's possessions.
That's right. Absolutely. The Bible's clear. Don't covet. And when you think about the violation of private property, that we are now at the point where somebody has something somebody else wants, so we hire politicians to go take it from them. When we think about what we say and what we hear in regular discussions in our political sphere about the wealthy and this great disdain for the wealthy, we should all be aspiring to be wealthy. The fact that we have poor people amongst us is an indictment on liberalism, because when you combine Christianity and capitalism, you see wealth in one generation. So we are going in the wrong direction in the narrative, absolutely. So that's why you now see these breakdowns in race relationships, because the political left has been using race to divide, to conquer for quite some time.
We're speaking tonight with Star Parker, who is the founder of CURE, the Center for Urban Renewal and Education. And she, as you can all hear plainly, is a profoundly confident and well-informed and biblically based, but just an inspired woman, just determined to try to truly lift lives of other fellow Americans out of the kind of temptations that will just never get them on the path to freedom and opportunity in the American dream. I love what you do. I do want to take, we only have about a minute and a half in this segment left, but I know you've spoken recently at a pro-life event. I actually don't know. Someone texted me this morning about it, and I don't know what it was, but I'm wondering if you have a reaction in about a minute to the Supreme Court decision on the Texas, which came out, I think, just yesterday, the Texas law that protected women's health in abortion clinics. You have 30 seconds here.
I was in your neighborhood, and that's why I called you there, because we were there in Dallas with amazing pro-life work. What kind of mind would conclude that 60 million destroyed infants demonstrates the success of our Constitution when our Constitution says that it is in existence to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity? We're in the wrong direction. We're going in the wrong direction, and that's why we're going to continue to fight for life.
I just love that. We're speaking with Star Parker, founder of CURE. Real quickly, Star, can you give us the website for CURE? What is it called? Is it just
Urban Cure? Yeah, just urbancure.org. If you Google Star Parker, you'll find it, urbancure.org. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we really, really appreciate people that help us get our work done.
Star Parker, thank you so very much, and happy July 4th.
You too. Bye-bye.